Howdy, y'all. Welcome to this location, the newest FNAF game. I didn't even realize this game was out until yesterday. I was like, oh, people are putting out videos. It must be out because I just heard, oh, I'm delaying the game. But it's out, and I really enjoy it. This is probably my favorite FNAF game. And I really liked 4. I thought 4 was the creepiest. I enjoyed it, but I didn't enjoy 4. As in, it was an enjoyable game, but I didn't enjoy peering out into the inky blackness, trying to figure out if something's going to jump at me. Yeah, I didn't enjoy it. This is a game I really enjoy. That's not to say it's not scary. That's not to say there's no jump scares. That's simply saying it's a more overall enjoyable experience. But you know what? Let's get down to the meat of things, shall we? Gameplay, graphics, sound, and my final thoughts. Gameplay. It's still basically a point and click. You're still clicking on stuff, but it feels more evolved. Point and click is still the primary means of interaction, but he adds so much on top of that. It's not simply click on different things. You have to crawl through rooms and vents. You have to manage reactivating power while this evil animatronic, just glares at you from 6 feet away and slowly comes towards you every time you try to mess with the power. One of the biggest changes now for gameplay, at least for the first 2 nights, I haven't gotten past the first 2 nights, well, the second night, there's no more clock. And it's a matter of action. It's not a matter of just trying to manage things until the clock runs out, till, it hits 6 a.m. No, there is no clock anymore, at least not, night 1 or 2. Instead, you have to perform certain events, certain actions. And after you've done these actions, these events, will your shift end. There's quite a bit to do in a given night, and I'm sure that list will grow longer as the nights go on. The game is less jump scare heavy. That's not to say there's no jump scares, and that it's not a scary game. It's just, I won't say you can see the jump scares from a mile away, but you have a better idea of when they're coming as compared to 4, when you're just staring down to the inky black hallway and trying to listen for just certain sounds. In this game, you have an idea, roughly, of when animatronics are going to jump at you. You either can hear a noise, or you see a cover opening up. It's definitely still, you can get surprise jump scares, don't get me wrong. It's simply that you have a better grasp of when they're coming. It doesn't feel completely out of the blue. I mean, in the game you're still trying to fight out the animatronics, try to hide from them, keep them away, but it feels more evolved as compared to the previous games. It feels much more complex. Not just clicking, you're having to crawl, you're having to hide. There's also a tablet section. There's probably other gameplay methods I've yet to encounter, which just really pleases me that Scott has taken this formula and has really refined it in this game. Graphics. It's basically the same graphics I've seen in the other games. There's a little more animation. It's still all pre-rendered. You can tell it's just simply all pre-rendered graphics. But it's much more detailed. There's more variety in location. You see it's not just the same old control room or the same old room. You get to go out into new and different areas. Areas that feel quite different from the main control area. The main control area kind of slightly reminds me of FNAF 3, just in color wise and slight design. But then suddenly you're in areas with a completely different color scheme. You're in one that's essentially you're going through one of the animatronic rooms and you're having to crawl along the floor, and it's very different. And speaking of crawling, that also leads me to the point of it may be pre-rendered, but he does a good job of creating more warping and shifting in the graphics. It doesn't feel as static. I mean, except for a few short scenes in the original FNAF, is pretty much all static graphics. You see a lot more animation, a lot more movement, more warping and shifting in the graphics in this game, which is a nice evolution of this pre-rendered style from the previous games.
I will be offline momentarily during this
sound.
Various other systems may be offline as well.
There's not much to say right here. It's still basically the same, you know, noises you'll hear, but it does have one new thing. There is for a FNAF game, quite a bit of voice acting, which was a nice and pleasant surprise. This also leads to a point that this game, while this doesn't directly relate to sound, but in a sense it does, this game is a much more story-focused game as compared to any others. I mean, it's always had a slight story, and each game has had, you know, more story elements, but this game feels most story heavy, even more so than FNAF 4. And with the inclusion of voice acting, makes it feel like there's much more story to it. Final thoughts. I must say, this is probably the best Five Nights at Freddy's game Scott has made, by far. It makes up for any issues people might have had with FNAF World. If you thought Scott was not taking his game seriously, was just, you know, rolling out games for money's sake, he has put his heart and soul into this game, and it really shows. This is gameplay wise, just the whole feel of the game is so much more enjoyable. It's to the point that I want to play this game more. For most FNAF games, after a couple nights, I just grow bored of it. It's like, I know it's the same thing every night. I get the idea. It lost interest for me. This game really makes me want to go back to it and play it more. Something that no FNAF game has done for me before. And I take that as an excellent sign that Scott has made a superb game here. He has gone above and beyond what he probably needed to do to please FNAF fans and created a game that any horror fan can enjoy. He's toned down the jump scares, but they're still there. The tension isn't as bad, but it's definitely still there. It's definitely still a creepy game. There's definitely, you know, spooky moments. But it's been toned down just enough, and the gameplay's been toned up just enough. It makes it a really excellent game. This is a must-buy for any FNAF fan. If you don't have it already, buy it. If you're not an FNAF fan, you'd probably still enjoy it. I can't recommend it enough. I'm just blown away by how enjoyable this game is. It's really a good buy in general for anyone. It's less than $10. You can't go wrong, and it's even cheaper right now. It's on sale for the launch. I'd highly suggest you go and get it. It's a superb game. It's the best in the FNAF series. It's a really good game overall. Well, I hope you enjoyed this review. I tried to cover all the important elements of it. Leave a like if it helped. I'll put a link in the description for the game. I highly suggest you go get it. See y'all.